In life, we encounter people every day, all of whom have stories to share. We rarely take the time to ask people their personal stories, many of which will touch, move, and inspire us in some way. Matt has a passion for making authentic connections and learning about people from all walks of life. He has lived a life of giving back to the community and making a difference in people's lives. Are you ready to meet fascinating people and hear some inspiring stories? The Matt Hilton Show will introduce you to a world of possibilities you never knew existed. Sit back, be present, and enjoy. Here's your host, Matt Hilton.
Hey everyone, Matt Hilton here, the host of the Matt Hilton Show. Thanks for tuning in. Today's guest is a transplant from California. She got to Texas as quick as she could. She's also an executive director of a local women's chapter that focuses on entrepreneurs and speakers. You don't want to miss this episode. Stay tuned for a word from our sponsor.
Inspired, experienced, customer-focused. Find a mortgage that fits your needs with Maria Leach at First United Bank Mortgage, specializing in construction and closing all types of loans, including jumbo, portfolio, conventional, FHA, and VA. A tenured team, outstanding service, competitive programs. Finance your dreams with Maria Leach at First United Bank Mortgage. mleach.firstunitedteam.com, 214-316-7915. mleach at firstunitedbank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hey everyone, Matt Hilton here, host of the Matt Hilton Show. Thanks for tuning in today. Today's guest is an acquaintance of mine who was introduced from one of my friends in my networking group. And so Toni Caruso is here with us, and she is the executive director of Women's Speakers Network. And I'm excited to hear her story and how she has her role that she plays within this group. Her mission is to I'm going to let you explain that, Toni. Is it to find 1 million women and help them make $1 million a year? What is this?
No. At the top of the food chain, basically, the women only make up less than 3% of the millionaires. So we are trying to get women to be more focused on, sharing their message, building their businesses, but to get more women into that millionaire mark. And so our mission is to help 1 million women achieve $1 million in revenue.
Achieve $1 million in revenue. Fantastic. So welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Excited to be here.
I would be remiss if I did not say, give you a warm welcome. And Lindsay Monahan introduced us, so I want to thank her. Thank you, Lindsay, for introducing us.
Oh, we love Lindsay.
Most definitely. So how did you and Lindsay meet?
All right. So I run a women's networking group, Women Network, here in the Dallas area. And I met Lindsay through another woman, Elisa Ellis. So we'll give a shout out to Elisa.
There we go.
It's all about networking and relationships.
Sure.
And Elisa was trying to get Lindsay to come to one of my lunches over and over, month after month after month. And she was like, I've been to so many networking things. They just don't seem to work out. Finally, she said yes. She came in the room and just was blown away by the women in the room, the mission of Women Network, and just the energy in the room. We're a real energetic, great group of women. So she joined, and she went all in. She's on my leadership team. We're having our luncheon tomorrow, as a matter of fact. She's got 4 guests coming. She's an amazing connector, and I'm just so glad that I got to meet her.
Yeah, she really is. Yeah, we're a part of 2 different groups. So my nonprofit, she's actually the president of the board of directors.
Oh.
And we're a part of a millionaire business network. Millionaire seems to be coming up a lot today. Millionaire business network, and she holds the financial advisor chair.
Oh.
So yeah, and she is everything that she does she's all in.
Well, and she's smart about it, and she goes, okay, what is the best place for me to be in this group? And then she goes all in, and she believes in it. And I like those kind of people, the action takers, the ones that know who they are, what they want, and they move forward. It's the ones that are sitting there, I don't know, and they're just kind of hobbyists on the back end. Yeah. I love women that are strong and aggressive and focused and have a real mission in life. And Lindsay's one of those.
So does your organization help women determine what that mission is or what their passion is? Like, do y'all have workshops that maybe work around that?
We have a lot of things, but our core is our Women Networking lunches, or events. We have strategic business roundtables, which are smaller, kind of a mastermind.
Okay.
And then we have the larger lunches. We have over 118 chapters nationwide. We're also in Canada, Europe. I think we're in England and Australia. But with COVID, those kind of, shut down a bit. But we bring women together who want to give first, share always, and lift others as you climb. So that's our belief. We believe in collaboration instead of competition, because women they're brought up to compete against each other. The way they look, you want the guy, you want and we want to change that way of working and say, listen, if we come together and we help each other and help somebody else that's below us and bring them up, it's going to be a better world, because, the Dalai Lama said, women will change the world.
Nice.
So we have to do what he says.
So lift others, give always.
Give first.
Give first.
Share always.
Share always.
And lift others as you climb.
Okay, fantastic.
That's kind of the foundation.
Okay. I heard everything. I just couldn't repeat it all. So thank you for clarifying that for me. So how did you get involved? Have you always lived here in Dallas? Tell us a little bit of background behind Toni.
I'm one of those Californians who moved to Texas,
You're one of those.
One of those, but we love it here.
Right.
I mean, I can't say enough great things about Texas and the hospitality that the people here have.
And we welcome you here with open arms.
I tell you, it's such a opposite, and I don't want to put California down because I was born and raised. Spent my entire life in California. Never thought I would leave. But things happen in life, and you come out and you look at real estate and go, ooh, look how big a house I can get for the money that,
Sure.
If you look at the real estate just alone from California. But it's just a different lifestyle. It's a lot more open. It's a lot freer. But you asked me how I got into this, so I digress. So in 2015, I was kind of reinventing myself. I had spent 30 years as an event planner and working in corporate, and then had a baby and became a stay-at-home mom and became the Uber fundraiser. So if there was the jogathon, they made like $8,000. My kid was in kindergarten. I said, I can do better. So the next year I made $45,000, just because, I have this meeting event planning background. So I was building their fundraising, and they were making a lot of money while I was at that school, until my son, at the age of, I think, 11, when you get into middle school, said, Mom, could you do something other than school, because you're more popular than me.
Oh.
And so I said, okay, what can I do? And I had noticed that his friends really didn't have manners. So I became an etiquette trainer, because I thought that would be something fun to do. And I did that for a few years. And I found eWomen Network as a networking group locally. And I joined. And after a couple of months, unfortunately, the managing director that was running it stepped down due to a really bad divorce. So it was kind of dormant for a few months. And then somebody, I guess, gave my name to corporate and said, hey, she's an event planner. She could do this. So they came to me, and I joined in 2015 as a managing director of the Calabasas chapter and built that one up. And in the meantime, started my own event business. And that went gangbusters. And I was going to be flying all over the world doing all these major events in 2020, and we know how that worked out for everybody. So I had stepped down from eWomen Network to pursue this business that had taken over. And then I found myself sitting on the couch drinking wine and eating chips for about 6 months, while my clients are going, well, Toni, do you think is it going to open up in 6 months? Is it going to open up, So trying to rearrange things, and I just was kind of lost. And on the side, I'd always been doing the Academy for Speakers. So I teach speakers the business of speaking. So not how you tell your story or how your PowerPoint's going to look. I teach you how to make money on the stage and how to do the business of speaking, because you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of speakers, I just want to get on stage and share my message.
My story,
but what's the back end? How are you going to monetize that? Do you know what's available for you? Do you know how to negotiate your contracts? So that was my genius right in there. So I started a coaching program teaching speakers, and that grew. And when I moved here to Dallas, where the eWomen Network is, corporate offices, they took my business and put it under theirs, and I took over their speaker network. So my Academy for Speakers is now the eWomen Speakers Network, and we've partnered together to build that.
Okay.
Is that a long answer to that story?
No. Well, no, I have had guests that have given longer answers.
Oh, okay.
It's all good.
I'm just, I want to cover everything. But I absolutely love what I do.
Yeah. So let's go back to that headspace that you were talking about during COVID. You had all these events planned. You said you found yourself sitting on the couch eating chips and,
Drinking wine.
Drinking wine. I don't know if that's a great combination, but hey, it is what it is. So what was your headspace like? I mean, because I know a lot of the viewers and listeners, we all probably went through the same, right? So what was your headspace and how'd you come out of it?
Well, I think initially we were going to be doing a large event at the LA Convention Center. We had 20,000 people coming, and it was scheduled for March 22nd. So perfect timing, right? So we saw it coming because our speakers were flying in from Africa and France, and they were all calling us saying, I can't get a flight. They're closing us down. I can't get out. So we closed down that event before the world closed down. And we were getting a lot of flack for that. Like, no, you gotta stay. People were, it's like, we're not gonna have anyone on our stages. People are not coming to a 20,000 person event. So I was very busy in the beginning, switching that to an online event and then closing all that down. So the first couple of months I was busy just trying to figure out where I am in this world. And my other clients were saying, well, do you think, if we just postponed it a month, would it be? So I was busy doing that. And then when I realized this was taking longer, and I'm an empty nester. So my husband was actually working at a factory. So he was gone from noon to 10 every day. So as an extrovert, being in a isolated environment, and trying to do everything virtually and learn all these new things, it was very difficult. It was frustrating, and people looking to you for answers, and you don't even know. You have no answers. Nobody did. And then just sitting and listening to the news day after day like we did, it got very hard. And I'm a very upbeat, optimistic person, and I found that I wasn't for a while. And I just kind of sat there and thought, well, what am I going to do? Where do I go from here?
Right.
And I think that what got me through it was I had some great girlfriends. I mean, one day my girlfriend called me and said, hey, listen, a bunch of us are getting together for coffee. And I'm like, well, where are we going there? Because California, it shut down. You weren't even allowed. Neighbors were calling neighbors going, they're having a party. They have people over, calling the police. It was ugly. And so we found a shopping center nearby, and there was about 6 of us, and we drove our cars. We backed them into a circle, lifted up the back of the cars, and sat in the back of our cars and yelled and had a conversation while we drank coffee in the morning. I mean, it was like, oh my God, thank you. I'm talking to people one-on-one. It was very difficult. It was a lot of ups and downs. But I think what brought me out of it was the realization that, I love doing events, but I don't like doing them for other people. I like doing them for me. I like doing my own events. I have a little more control on it because I would be hired by a client and they'd pick a platform that wasn't even built yet. And I have to learn that virtual platform. Then I had to teach it to the client, teach it to the speakers, and teach it to the audience and the exhibitors while learning. It was a lot of work, and I was getting very frustrated. And you're talking working 24/7. And I just decided, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do my own events. And so that started me on this road to doing my own events in Dallas, which was what brought me here, was I thought, well, they're open. I can start doing things here. And then the eWomen thing came after that. But I found that you have to surround yourself with people that are supportive, and you have to find a way to connect. I was doing happy hours, join me at 4:00 at this Zoom happy hour, and bringing people together just to keep connecting. Because if that's who you are, you have to bring that into your world in some way. I don't think I would have survived if I just sat there on that couch.
Yeah. And as you were speaking, I had flashbacks of what was happening with me, as an extroverted realtor, right? I'm out there, I'm like, I love people. I love being out and about, and being confined into that space and being on Zoom. That took a lot out of me, right? So I had to, get out and about safely, right? With the mask and the distancing and all that sort of stuff. And it was interesting to hear you say when you backed up your cars. I thought you were going to say we were drinking our glasses of wine, but you said drinking coffee. So
No, the cop came by at one point.
Yeah.
The cop drove through the parking lot, and I thought, oh, we're in trouble now. And I just looked and I waved, and he just kind of waved back like, I'm going to let the ladies go. But I'm sure if we were drinking wine, we would have really been in
you would have
trouble.
been in trouble. Yeah, for sure. Smart choice there.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you said California was bad. That was kind of what it was like here too. I mean, people were calling and reporting other people and this, that, and the other, and in certain aspects.
But
right?
do you
It
think
wasn't
that,
the same. It wasn't exactly the same.
But what I would find is we came here in, I think it was August, September of 2020, when we came to look at real estate to buy investment property. And that's when we started driving up north and found this house and went, okay, let's just buy it. And we were going to live in both places for a while. But every time we'd come out here, it was just so much calmer and welcoming and open. You didn't have that stress of, if you walk, like there were times you'd walk into a store and you'd forget the mask accidentally, and people would scream at you from across the room, look at you, and it was just like, oh, I'm sorry. I just, was running in for some milk,
Yeah.
So it was just, it got me very uncomfortable. And, I have to say the real estate prices were going up in our area. And we thought, as, semi-retirees, now's the time to get out.
Yeah.
And it was the smartest thing we ever did.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we, again, welcome you to Texas. Yeah, for sure. So as you were living in California, you grew up there? You part of a big family? Are you only child?
No,
what
I'm
does that
not
look
an
like?
only child. I'm the youngest. So
Okay.
I always wanted all the attention.
Right.
But I'm the youngest of three. And it was just my parents and my brothers and sisters and I think we had an aunt and uncle in Sacramento. Their families were all in Minnesota. So we were kind of out, kind of like Christmas this year. It's just me, my husband, and my son, But we're used to that. We're a small group.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have the one son.
Yes.
Okay. And so if you were to sit around and he was to ask you the question of, Mom, what's your favorite childhood memory?
My favorite of my personal childhood memory?
What is your favorite personal, what would you share with him?
Well, like I said, I like to be the center of attention. So I used to stand in front of the television set. My father was in television, so we had televisions before anybody else in the neighborhood had TVs. And I would stand in front of the television set and I'd dance on the top of my toes because I wanted to be a dancer.
Okay.
And I thought ballerinas actually stood on their toes. So I'd be on my toes and I'd be doing circles and stuff while the TV's going, and they'd be yelling at me, sit down, because all my life I wanted to be an entertainer. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to sing. I wanted to dance. But my mother, who was a nightclub singer, would always say, yeah, Toni, you just don't have the voice. So that meant I didn't get any of the singing lessons.
Right.
And then she thought dancers were going with my favorite memory, and I went negative on you, but that's where I'm going.
Yep.
So she felt like dancers were all Radio City Rockettes. So they're all really tall, 5'10", long legs. And I was the shortest one in my class. So she thought, well, why would I spend money on dancing lessons for her when she's not going to make it as a career? So I didn't get either of those. But I ended up meeting a gentleman at a bar dancing, and he asked me he goes, so who do you take from? I go, take what? He goes, who do you take from? I go, take what? And he goes, take dancing. I go, I've never taken a dance lesson. Turns out he was a choreographer. So he taught me to dance, but I was 20 years old, And so it was a little late for to get everything that you needed to be a dancer. But I minored in dance in college to try and get that part of me. But I think ultimately that little story of me dancing and wanting attention, I may not be a singer dancer, but I'm now on a stage. So with the eWomen Speakers Network and being an event planner, I've been on stage. So I'm getting that childhood dream of being on stage, and thank God I'm not singing because I really can't sing.
You can't?
No, not really good at that.
What was that like, having a mom who was a singer? I mean...
Oh, she was interesting. I love her. I loved her dearly. She's gone now. But she was brought up in an era where you literally go to school, graduate high school, get married, have children. And my father was Italian, and that's what you did. And that wasn't me. And it wasn't my sister either. They thought, what's wrong with them? You know, like, why are these? So everything was about how you looked. My mother would introduce me. Oh, this is my daughter, Toni. She's so pretty when she wears lipstick. If she had some on right now. Or you know what? Oh, she'd be dynamite if she just lost 20 pounds. Yeah. So I was never good enough.
Good enough.
Yeah. But I think it came from her insecurities of not being good enough. When she was a singer, she had like a 24-inch waist and she was killing it. And then she got married and didn't like herself and her body as she got older, which, you know, hey, I'm not too happy with mine right now. But I think that projected onto me and to my sister.
Yeah. So when you work with a lot of women, do you find that is prevalent?
Oh,
Do a lot
absolutely.
of women think that they're not good enough?
Oh, major problem. And it's not just that they're not good enough. A lot of them feel they are good enough, and it's great. But I think the main problem with women entrepreneurs and small business owners is women don't value their worth. So they need people like Lindsay Monahan to come in and say, hey, listen, time is money. And women will say, oh, you know what? You're a friend. I'll give you a discount. Or you know what? I know you can't pay the $350. You know, why don't we just do it? And you come do my hair or whatever. We're constantly devaluing our value. And that's why we're not making $1 million. A man would just say, oh, it's $350 an hour. When do you want to meet? That kind of thing.
Right.
Where women are like, oh, you know, because they don't feel like they own it. And once they start believing that what they have matters, and that the price people pay is they're paying for your time and your expertise. And I think women will make more money and build up. And I think the pandemic really put a niche in that $1 million thing. And I don't even think we're 3 million. I think, 3%. I think we're even lower than that right now, millionaires. But I want to share something with the audience. If you are a business owner, and let's say you're a coach, and you charge your basic package is, let's say, $750. What I want you to do is go into your phone and pull up the calculator and put in $1 million, and then divide it by 750. And that'll be how many clients you need at that number. I think it will really wake people up when you start looking at the math, because it woke me up one day because I thought, oh, I don't need to make $1 million, and I'd be happy with 500,000, whatever. Then I looked at it and I went, what do you mean? I only need 300 clients? You know, if I just take that down, if there are 20 people in my coaching sessions, and my coaching sessions are 6 weeks, you know, you start figuring it out and you think, oh, that is doable.
Yeah. Yeah, we do something similar in real estate. We just did our business planning on our team. And we have a number that we want to hit, right? And that number can seem daunting.
Right.
But then we bring it down to, what is that per month?
Right.
What is that per week?
Right.
And then what does that mean per day that we need to do? What activities do we need to do each day to make sure that we meet that goal per week?
Right.
So that we meet that goal per month, which leads to the yearly goal.
Sandra Yancey, who's the founder and CEO of eWomen Network, and she's my mentor, she always says, you know, do the things that you can only do. Stop, you know, spending all the time in the minutia. You know, that might be fun to do the Canva and do all your social media, but there are people out there that you can pay to do it. Oh, I don't have the money to afford that. Well, you know what? When you pay for it, you'll find the money.
Yeah.
You know, it comes in, and that gives you more time to get out and sell your products, get your podcast, get on stages. You know, you have to free up your time. You have to do only those things that only you can do. And then she talks about, you know, every day, 3 things that you need to do that'll move your business forward. You know, you need to write this out and think about it and write it down. And if you're like me, paper and pencil, I have lists. Cross them out. Yeah, I did it, you know, moving you forward every day, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah, don't look at the big elephant, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bite at a time, right? And so, yeah, I love that. And something you just said reminds me of a book that I'm currently reading. I'm about halfway through it. It's called Who Not How.
Oh, I've heard of that book. I haven't read that.
By Dan Sullivan. And it's a great book. I'm listening to it on Audible right now. And it's talking about find things that you are passionate about, that you love to do, and everything else, find the who.
Right.
Find the who that can do the marketing. Find the who that can be that leverage piece
Right.
for those other things that take up a bulk of your time. Like in real estate, for instance, we have, the contracts and the paperwork and compliance and this, that, and the other. If I find an assistant to do all that for me, it
Right.
gives me more time to go out and find more business.
Right. And if you can't afford that assistant, find another realtor that also needs it. And then you go together and, there are ways that you can work it out. Because I think a lot of women use excuses, and maybe men do too, but I'm talking from the woman's point of view, use excuse. Oh, I can't afford that. Or, I can do that. I'm a A-type personality. It's like, I just go in, I jump off the cliff, and I figure it out on the way down. But that in itself is really difficult for me, because I always think I can do it faster than hiring someone else to do it. Yeah. And I used to believe that, like, oh no, I can do it faster. And since I've gotten into eWomen and I have a leadership team of people, oh my God, life is so much easier. Other people are doing the event planning and people are making name tags for me. And I used to do all of that, and I don't need to be. I need to be out there meeting people and bringing them in the room and building the chapter into what it needs to be, while these people really want to and they want to help. You need to understand that there are people out there that want to help you and they want to be a part of your team. Yeah. And you just find those people.
Yeah, you do. And if you aren't out and about,
right,
you aren't going to find those people.
Exactly. If you're sitting in making name tags.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. Tune in next week as we continue our talk with Toni Caruso. You don't want to miss the rest of her story.
The Matt Hilton Show would like to thank our sponsors, Hilton Realty Advisors and Maria Leach with the First United Mortgage Group. The Matt Hilton Show would also like to thank our partners, the Who Do You Know organization. You can find out more at wdyk.org. If you'd like to contact Matt or know a fascinating person with an inspiring story that would make a great guest, reach out to the show at themattHiltonshow@gmail.com.